Alien girl's shirt ripped during heists of her mother's sacred amulet, but one human fights back. HFY, the alien city was glowing red under the light of two moons. Its towers stretched into the night sky like claws, and its streets were filled with restless crowds. At the center of the city stood a great temple, older than memory. Inside it, the alien girl stood, holding tightly to her mother's sacred amulet. The amulet glowed with a soft blue light, humming faintly, as if alive. Her mother had told her it carried the strength of their ancestors, the key to protecting their people. But peace never lasted in this world. Shadows had gathered. The night cracked open with the sound of explosions. A squad of masked mercenaries stormed the temple gates, their boots crushing stone, their weapons burning with red fire. Panic spread as worshippers screamed and ran for their lives. The alien girl backed away, clutching the amulet, but one of the raiders lunged at her. His claws ripped through her shirt as he yanked the relic from her chest. Pain and rage filled her eyes, but the mercenary only laughed and ran. "Stop them," she cried, but no one listened. The raiders planted bombs along the temple walls. In seconds, the explosions tore through the sacred pillars. Fire leapt into the sky, dust and smoke swallowing the stars. The alien girl fell to the ground, coughing, her vision swimming. She reached out. But the thieves were already vanishing into the smoke with her mother's treasure. She thought she was alone. But then, through the fire, a figure appeared. A human. He was scarred, his armor scorched, his face grim. His weapon was not the sleek rifles of the mercenaries, but a battered gun patched together from old wars. His eyes, however, burned with something she had not seen before: determination. He stepped forward, ignoring the flames licking at his boots. "Stay down," he said in a low voice. "I'll get it back," before she could protest. He ran into the inferno. The human chased the mercenaries through the ruined streets. The city was collapsing around, him walls falling, civilians fleeing, bombs hidden in the shadows, going off one by one. Firestorms lit the skies as more charges detonated. Every corner was an ambush. Every alley was filled with smoke and screams. But he pushed forward. The alien girl staggered behind him, refusing to be left behind, even though her strength was failing. She knew the amulet was not just a symbol. Her mother had whispered to her long ago, "This relic is more than a jewel. It is the heart of an army if it was taken." Everything would fall. The human fought through the streets, his weapon firing, his fists striking when his gun ran dry. He slammed one mercenary against a wall, demanding answers, but the raider only grinned and spat blood. The girl pulled the human aside. "They're not just thieves," she said. "They know what it is. They want to wake something. Something buried." Her words chilled him. The chase led them deep into the Undercity, a maze of tunnels built by generations long gone. Darkness pressed close, broken only by the glow of distant fires. But the deeper they went, the more the human realized this was not just a hiding place. It was a trap. Suddenly the ceiling shook. Explosives went off, and the tunnels collapsed behind them. The mercenaries had been expecting pursuit. Rubble fell, cutting off escape routes. Shadows moved in the dust. The mercenaries struck again, guns blazing. The human dragged the alien girl to cover and returned fire, each shot echoing through the stone passages. Sparks lit the tunnels like lightning. But then something worse appeared. Not mercenaries. Machines. Metal creatures crawled from the dark, their eyes glowing red. They moved like insects, armed with claws and blades. The alien girl gasped. "They've already started it," she whispered. "The machines are waking." The human gritted his teeth and reloaded. "Then we end it here." They fought side by side, human and alien, against both raiders and machines. Fire lit the underground halls. The human's body ached, his arms heavy, but he refused to fall. The girl, though weakened, used her own alien strength, throwing stones, striking blows, refusing to be useless, but still. The mercenaries pressed forward, dragging the amulet deeper into the tunnels. Finally, they reached a great chamber. The walls were carved with ancient symbols, glowing faintly as if remembering old times. At its center stood the mercenary leader, a tall figure in jagged armor. In his hand, the amulet pulsed like a beating heart. "You're too late," the leader said, his voice echoing. "This is no trinket. This is a key. With it, we awaken the army of the ancients. And when they rise, no human, no alien will stand in our way." He raised the amulet high. The chamber shook. Stone cracked. From the floor, massive shapes began to rise, machines taller than towers, buried for centuries, now stirring once more. Their eyes burned with unnatural fire, their arms armed with cannons and blades. The alien girl cried out, "No! You'll destroy us all." The human stepped in front of her, gun raised, though he knew it would do little against what was coming. "Then we fight," he said simply. The machines roared to life, their first steps shaking the earth. The mercenaries laughed, believing victory was already theirs, but the human didn't back down. He fired at the leader, forcing him to stumble. The girl seized the moment, rushing forward, trying to snatch back the amulet. The leader struck her, sending her sprawling, but she clawed at the relic anyway. Sparks erupted as her blood touched the crystal, just as her mother had once warned her. The amulet pulsed brighter. Brighter than the flames, brighter than the moons themselves. The mercenary leader screamed. The machines froze mid-step, as if listening. The human grabbed the girl, dragging her back before the light consumed them both. The chamber cracked apart. Stone shattered, fire burst from fissures, and the ceiling began to collapse. The last thing they saw was the amulet rising into the air, glowing like a star, while the machines turned their heads toward it, and then the world fell into blinding. Light silence followed. The alien girl and the human awoke beneath rubble, coughing, barely alive. Around them, the city burned. In the distance, the sky was lit not just by fire, but by something greater. The machines had risen. Spreading across the horizon like an army from nightmares, the human struggled to his feet. His body broken, but his spirit unyielding. He looked at the girl, who held her torn shirt closed. Her eyes filled with fear and rage. "It's not over," he said. She nodded, her hands trembling. "No, it's only the beginning." Above them, the machines marched. The war had awakened. And with the amulet now beyond their reach, they had no choice but to fight together or watch both their worlds burn. The story ended there. On the edge of fire and war, leaving the fate of both species hanging like a blade. The alien capital never slept. Its towers gleamed with neon lights, and its skies roared with ships that crossed above like silver birds. But beneath all that brightness, the city was broken. Secret wars, hidden gangs, and ancient grudges ruled the streets. The alien girl lived in that shadow. She carried her mother's sacred amulet around her neck, a glowing jewel that pulsed softly as if it held a heartbeat of its own. It was her only link to her mother's bloodline, a bloodline that had ruled before being slaughtered in silence. The amulet was not just an heirloom. It was power, and power always drew enemies. The night of the heist began like any other. The girl walked through the temple gates, offering quiet prayers. She touched the amulet, whispering her mother's name, but then the ground shook. Blinding lights cut through the temple walls. A team of raiders stormed in, their faces hidden behind steel masks. She ran, clutching the amulet close, but one raider leaped at her, grabbing her by the shirt. The cloth ripped as his claws tore through it, and the amulet was snatched away. She screamed and tried to fight, but she was thrown aside like dust. Before she could rise, the bombs went off. Explosions ripped through the city block. Flames climbed towers. Glass rained from the sky like knives. The holy temple collapsed, burying worshippers and guards beneath smoking rubble. Civilians fled in terror, their cries mixing with the sound of sirens. The alien girl coughed and stumbled, her eyes wild with fear. Her mother's treasure, her people's hope was gone. But not everyone ran. From the smoke stepped a human. His armor was scratched and worn, his face marked by old scars. He was no hero, no soldier in shining uniform. He was a mercenary, a man who had once fought in wars and lost more than he cared to remember. Yet something in his eyes burned still. He saw the girl fall. He saw the raiders escape with the amulet, and he made a choice. He would not let them win. The human grabbed the girl, pulling her out of the rubble. "Stay with me if you want to live," he said, his voice sharp and steady. She wanted to scream at him, to demand he bring back the amulet, but the world was on fire. Together, they ran through burning streets as bombs detonated around them. The raiders had set traps across the city, turning entire blocks into collapsing death zones. The girl's eyes watered as smoke filled the air. "Why help me?" she cried. The human didn't look back. Because someone has to fight back, they reached a broken bridge, fire raging below it. Ahead, the raiders vanished into the shadows of the Undercity, dragging the stolen amulet with them. Without hesitation, the human followed, his steps sure and fearless. The girl, though shaking, followed too. She knew she could not let the amulet go. Her mother had told her once in whispers, "The jewel is not only our memory, it is a weapon. If awakened, it can burn worlds." If the raiders knew this, then doom was near. The Undercity was a maze of tunnels, old ruins, and broken factories. The deeper they went, the darker it became. Neon lights faded, replaced by dripping pipes and flickering lamps. Every shadow felt alive. Every corner held danger. The raiders moved fast, but the human was faster. He tracked them, his instincts sharp. He had hunted men before, across battlefields and wastelands. He knew the signs of killers. But then, the trap was sprung. Gunfire erupted from the darkness. Raiders appeared from every side, their rifles glowing red. The human shoved the alien girl behind broken stone and returned fire. His weapon barked flames, each shot echoing like thunder. Sparks flew as bullets struck metal walls. The girl pressed her hands to her chest, whispering to herself, trembling with fear. But she forced herself to rise, throwing rocks and striking at enemies who came too close. She would not be helpless. The fight was long and bloody. The human's arm was grazed by fire, but he never slowed. At last, the raiders retreated deeper into the tunnels. "They're not just thieves," the girl whispered. "They know what the amulet can do. They want to awaken the weapon buried under this city." The human frowned, reloading his gun. "A weapon?" "Yes," she said, her voice shaking. "An ancient machine. A war machine. If it rises, nothing can stop it. And now, they hold the key." The words froze his heart. The tunnels opened into an enormous chamber, its walls carved with glowing alien runes. The raider leader stood at the center, holding the amulet high. Its light pulsed brighter than ever. "You came far," the leader said, his voice echoing, "but you cannot stop this. With this relic, the army of the ancients will rise. And when it rises, your kind and hers will both fall." He placed the amulet into a slot carved into the stone. The ground trembled. From beneath the chamber floor came a sound like a heartbeat. Then, stone cracked open. Giant shapes began to rise, towers of metal, eyes glowing with red fire. War machines, buried for centuries, were waking. The alien girl gasped. "No, they'll destroy us all." The human raised his gun. "Then we fight." The chamber turned into a battlefield. Raiders fired from the shadows. Machines stomped forward, their cannons charging with deadly energy. The human shot back, moving fast, striking hard. His scars burning as he fought like a man with nothing left to lose. The girl tried to reach the amulet, climbing the altar steps, but the raider leader blocked her path. They clashed claws against fists, her cries echoing through the chamber. At the same time, the machines opened fire. Explosions shook the walls. The city above trembled as the ancient war engines broke free. The girl's hand brushed the amulet. Pain seared through her arm as energy surged into her body. The relic glowed brighter, reacting to her bloodline. The machines paused, their heads turning as if listening to her heartbeat. "Take it," she cried, throwing the amulet toward the human. He caught it, the crystal burning hot in his palm. For a moment, he felt his body breaking apart under its power, but he did not let go. The raider leader screamed in fury, leaping at him. They collided in a brutal fight, fists, blades, and blood. The human fought with all he had. He drove the leader to the ground. But the amulet pulsed harder and harder. Filling the chamber with blinding light, the machines roared, their voices shaking the air. Then everything exploded. When silence came, the alien girl opened her eyes. She lay beneath broken stone, her body aching. Smoke filled the air. Beside her, the human coughed, blood dripping from his lip, but still alive. They looked up. The city above was burning. Skies were filled with warships. Across the horizon, machines were marching, their shadows blotting out the stars. The amulet was gone. The girl's voice shook. They've taken it again. And now the machines. They are free. The human stood, his body broken, but his will stronger than iron. He looked at her with steady eyes. Then we fight. We don't stop. We take it back. Or we all die. The girl nodded, her torn shirt pressed to her chest, her hands trembling. She looked at the horizon, where fleets clashed and bombs turned the night into fire. Her mother's prophecy echoed in her mind. A human will stand beside you. He will decide the fate of both our worlds. And now, that moment had come. The war had begun. The story ended there. With the girl and the human standing on broken stone, their future uncertain, their enemies rising, their fight only just starting. The shrine on the hillside had been silent for centuries. Vines crawled across the broken walls, and the air smelled of dust and forgotten prayers. The alien girl knelt before the ruins, her hands trembling as she touched the amulet around her neck. It was her mother's sacred treasure, the last piece of a bloodline wiped out in old wars. But peace never lasted. That night, the ambush came. Shadows crept from the rocks. Armored raiders with masked faces and burning eyes. They moved fast, striking like wolves. The girl tried to run, clutching the amulet. But a raider caught her by the shirt, ripping it as he tore the relic from her chest. She screamed, reaching for it, but his claws shoved her down into the dirt. Then came the fire. The raiders planted bombs across the shrine. A heartbeat later, the mountainside shook. Explosions thundered through the ruins, fire bursting into the night sky. Stone rained down, crushing the holy walls. Filling the air with smoke and dust, the girl crawled from the rubble, blood running from her brow. She looked up in horror as the raiders vanished into the night with her mother's treasure. But someone else had survived. A human. He stumbled from the fire, his armor broken, his weapon scarred from past wars. His face was hard, marked with old battles, but his eyes burned with a will to fight. He did not know her, did not owe her anything. Yet, when he saw her struggling, when he saw the amulet stolen, he stepped forward. "On your feet," he said, pulling her up. "We're not done yet." The chase began through burning fields and crumbling ruins. Fire spread across the mountainside, bombs exploding one after another. Each step was a battle, the ground shaking beneath their feet. The raiders moved quickly, but the human moved faster. His eyes locked on the glow of the amulet carried in the distance. The alien girl followed, coughing from smoke, her shirt torn, her body bruised. "Why help me?" she asked that the human did not turn. "Because if they keep that relic, your world dies. And mine with it." The word struck her cold. The raiders fled toward the city below, where alien streets twisted like a labyrinth. Fires already burned there too. Ships screamed across the sky, dropping bombs on towers. Sirens howled, civilians ran, and soldiers clashed with raiders in every alley. War had erupted overnight, and the heist had only been the spark. The girl grabbed the human's arm. "They planned this," she whispered. "The amulet isn't just treasure. It is a key. My mother told me if placed into the wrong hands, it can awaken the weapon beneath our soil." "What weapon?" the human asked, his voice sharp. She looked at him, her face pale. "A doomsday engine, ancient, hungry, built to end wars by ending worlds." The human's jaw tightened. He gripped his gun harder. "Then we can't let them use it." The streets turned into battlefields. Raiders fired from rooftops, grenades rolling across the stones. Explosions ripped through markets, firestorms swallowing homes. The human fought with brutal skill, his gun roaring, his fists crushing enemies when bullets ran dry. The girl stayed close, using every ounce of her alien strength to survive throwing stones. Striking raiders when they closed in, refusing to be helpless, they pressed forward through smoke and fire, chasing the stolen relic deeper into the heart of the city. But the enemy was prepared. At the central square, the ground erupted. Hidden bombs tore the streets apart. Fire shot into the sky, and half the square collapsed into the undercity. The girl and the human barely clung to the edge as stone fell away beneath them, dragging raiders, civilians, fire into the abyss. The human pulled her up with bleeding hands, his breath ragged. They'll bury the whole city just to protect that amulet. The girl's eyes burned with fury. Then we'll tear through the rubble to take it back. The chase ended at the raiders. Fortress, a black tower rising from the center of the undercity, its walls bristling with weapons. War raged outside. Alien soldiers and human allies fought side by side, their uneasy alliance tested in fire. Raiders unleashed machines of war drones, mechs, and fire-breathing engines. Explosions thundered, shaking the ground with every strike. The human and the girl slipped through the chaos. Entering the tower's heart, inside the air glowed red. Symbols lined the walls, ancient runes that pulsed with the same light as the amulet. At the center stood the raider leader, taller than the rest, his armor jagged like broken glass. He held the amulet high, its glow pulsing like a heartbeat. "You are too late," he said, his voice echoing. "The engine beneath us stirs. With this key, I awaken the true power of our ancestors. And when it rises, both your species will kneel." He placed the amulet into a great console carved from stone and steel. The ground shook, the fortress trembled as hidden doors opened. Beneath the tower, the earth cracked apart. From the darkness rose a machine larger than mountains, its eyes burning red, its arms armed with cannons and blades. The doomsday engine had awakened. The alien girl fell to her knees, tears on her face. "No, this will kill us all." The human raised his weapon. His hand shook, but his voice was steady. "Then we die fighting." The fortress turned into a battlefield of fire and steel. Raiders attacked from all sides. The machine roared, sending blasts of energy that melted stone and fire alike. The city above screamed as towers collapsed, bombs falling like rain. The human fought like a man possessed. He cut through raiders with blade and bullet, his scars burning, his strength fueled by rage. The alien girl rose beside him, striking enemies with her fists, screaming for her mother, screaming for her people, together. They reached the console where the amulet pulsed like a star. The human grabbed his gun, aiming at the relic. But the girl stopped him, her eyes wide. "No, if you destroy it, the machine will go mad. It will burn everything. Trust me can stop it." "Trust you?" he asked. "Yes," she said, her hands trembling. "My bloodline built it. My blood can shut it down. But I need time." The human nodded once. "Then I'll give you time." He turned and faced the raider leader, who charged with a blade burning red. Their fight shook the chamber, steel against steel, fist against flesh. The human bled, but he did not fall. He fought as if the fate of worlds depended on his blade. The girl pressed her hands to the amulet. Energy seared her veins, filling her with pain. The machine roared, its eyes turning toward her, its massive body trembling as if torn between waking and sleeping. She screamed, forcing her will into the relic. Forcing the machine to listen, the leader broke past the human and slashed at her. The human threw himself in the way, the blade cutting deep into his side. Blood poured, but he stood firm, teeth clenched, refusing to fall. "Finish it," he shouted. The girl cried out. Pouring the last of her strength into the amulet, the chamber exploded in light. Silence followed. The alien girl opened her eyes, lying among rubble. Smoke filled the air. She turned and saw the human beside her, bleeding, his eyes half closed but still alive. She looked upward. The machine was still, its eyes dark, its body frozen mid-strike, like a dead god trapped in stone. But outside, the war had not ended. Skies were filled with fire. Human fleets clashed with alien warships. Bombs fell on cities. And in the shadows, raiders still fought, their leader's fate unknown. The girl pressed her torn shirt against her chest, her hands shaking. We stopped it, but only for now. The human staggered to his feet, his blood staining the floor. He looked at her, his voice a growl. Then we make our stand. No matter what comes next. She met his gaze. In that moment, she knew her mother's prophecy had been true. A human would stand beside her at the end. And together, they would decide the fate of their worlds. Above them, the fires of war spread. Ships burned. Cities crumbled. The amulet lay cracked at their feet, glowing faintly, as if waiting to be claimed again. The girl and the human stood together, two broken figures in the ruins. As the shadow of war grew larger, and the story ended there on the edge of fire, with the fate of two species hanging by a thread, their last stand only just beginning.